This is Charlie. He's going to be showing you how to teach your dog how to play fetch. Now, Charlie was really tricky. We got him when he was 4 years old. He had no clue how to play fetch, and he actually didn't like a lot of toys. He's not big on playing tug of war, so we couldn't create drive that way. We finally found out that he loves squeaker toys. This bigger ball right here, he actually used to never want to touch. He liked small squeaker toys. We were scared to death he'd swallow one of them, but luckily he never did. But that's what I started with, doing this type of exercise, taunting the dogs, getting them really keyed up, creating a lot of drive for this really, really fun toy. I might even, if they get really into it, I might even turn away from them and toss it and run and go get it myself. I know it's silly, but you're creating fun and drive around the toy. And you only have to do this if the dog isn't into the toy. If your dog is already into the toy, you do not have to do this step. In fact, it might actually hurt you. So this is only if your dog isn't really that into whatever toy it is that you're playing with, okay? It's also worth noting that when it comes to playing fetch, Charlie is a pretty medium drive dog, and on a hot day like today, he's a lower drive dog. So I understand that many of you at home are dealing with really high energy dogs, but I want to point out that the basics that you're going to see in this video, they're the same. The fact that he is on a long line right now, that's the key. If you don't have a long line, your dog will never bring it back to you. So that's the most important part. Now I'm doing short distances for the sake of the video and because of the heat, because I want him to do this several times. Now I'm tossing it. As soon as he grabs the ball, I say yes, and I reel him in. See, he dodges me, so I change positions, and notice I'm moving backwards. I'm trying to bring him into me and make it fun. I don't want to tower over on top of him and make him feel like I want to get the ball, because then he's just going to dodge me and want me to chase him. So I'm moving backwards, trying to bring him into me. And then in between, just because for this particular dog I need to create drive, I'm bouncing and shaking the toy around. With a dog that already has the drive to chase the toy, you don't need to do that. In fact, you should probably add structure to it. Have the dog sit in front of you and give you eye contact before you throw the ball. But in this case, it's different. I'm trying to create more drive than he has. Now, I'm asking him to come to me. I'm giving him little pop cues on the leash as long as it's not twisted around him. I'm trying not to just pull on the leash because I don't want to drag him to me. I give him a little pop cue. It is not a correction. I give him a little pop cue, and as soon as he makes that decision to come to me, I immediately am like, yes, good job, let's go, come on, to encourage him to continue to follow me. Now, working with these long lines, it can get tricky. Make sure your leg's not tied up in it. You do have to pay attention. That's another example of him winging around me. So instead of fighting him on it, I just change my position and call him back to me that way. So I'm throwing it a little further now, just to get some variety. And see how I'm having to reel it in? My camera fell down, but you can still see me. Now I'm giving him lots of praise for coming to me. He needs that. Some dogs do not need that. The ball itself being thrown is enough praise, and you don't even have to do that. Just depends. Now here, you saw me jog in place. I don't always want to have to run backwards. So part of the way to transition out of that is to just jog in place. Now he gets hot and drops the ball. You see that? He wants to come over to where the camera is because he knows there's water over there. But I don't want him to walk away from me. So I continue to pull him in towards me, give him a treat. Then we go and get water. Just because he wants water does not mean he can just drop the ball and go where he wants. That may seem really strict, but when you want to play ball with your dog off leash in a park, you need to have control over them at all times. There could be other people, other dogs around. So just because he wants to go get something doesn't mean he just stops and goes and gets it. we have to finish the exercise. And I gave him a treat that time just to make it worth his while. Now he just took a little 5-minute break and rolled around in the grass, and we're going to start again. A few things that I want to point out that I didn't last time is I want you to notice how hard I'm working. I mean, this is not just working the dog out, okay? I'm having to be coordinated. I'm having to run backwards. If the leash, I was able to use the leash that time, give him a pop cue. As soon as he starts to come towards me, leash is loose. There's no tension on it. But if the leash gets wrapped around him and I can't use it, then I'm clapping, I'm hitting my legs, making noises. There I am right there. It gets twisted up, so I'm hitting my legs. I'm also using the treats this time just because I want to show you the option. And I also want to point out that he starts to drop the ball. He starts to think, oh, she has treats. So he's like, yes, go get the ball. And then he starts dropping it. If you incorporate treats and you have a highly driven treat dog, they may drop it as soon as they turn around and look at you. I really don't want you to worry about that. If that's happening, no big deal. Continue to call them all the way to you, have them sit in front of you, give them a treat. They are still getting in the habit of chasing after a toy and then turning around and coming back to you. That's what we want to accomplish, okay? That's muscle memory right there, and that is what we want to do. Eventually you can filter out the treats and they can start bringing the ball all the way to you. There's a lot of other things you can do for that. But if you're struggling with this and you want to incorporate food, just expect that. Expect them to start to drop it. It's not a big deal. It's quite normal. Yes, you have to walk over and pick up the toy. That's why I encourage you to work in short distances when you're first doing this. But that's just part of it. You can also use another toy. You can use another squeaker toy to get their attention, and as soon as they grab the ball and get distracted, to bring them back into you. But I do want you to notice how when he realized I had food, that he started coming to me a bit better instead of doing that big swipe around me. The reason Charlie swipes around me like that we work on is because he wants me to chase him. And that's what he really wants. So it can be difficult to bring him right into me. And that's what a lot of you, I'm sure, are dealing with. And honestly, the only way to fix that is you've got to have a leash on the dog. Get that muscle memory of constantly coming back to you. Now, with that being said, I have a bit of bad news for you guys out there who do like to play chase but also want your dog to learn how to fetch. Charlie, again, he had no clue how to play fetch when we first got him. But he did want to grab an object and run away, which was very bad. So we had to be super strict. For 6 months straight, we played no chase games with him whatsoever, and hardcore drilled it into him that when we say, come on, you come. Well, Charlie is just getting over surgery right here. This is probably his 3rd outing since having major surgery, and we've been really lenient with exercise, letting him bounce around more, which is why this was a great time to do this video, because even though we were so strict when we first got him, he still reverts to old habits that I'm guessing he had with his old owners. So yes, if you want your dog to fetch, this is a perfect example of how you need to be really strict if you want to teach them how to bring it back to you consistently. And even when you do teach them, the chase needs to be far and in between. Our rule is we'll play chase at home and in the yard occasionally, but never ever at an outdoor park. It's never acceptable. That way we have better control over him, and he knows that when he's outdoors like this, not to run away from us. Just some food for thought. One more thing I would like to say is I know flexi leashes are really popular, and they are good for this exercise because they don't usually get tangled around the dog's limbs. However, with that being said, I would rather get a little bit of nylon burn then the dog accidentally jerk one of those giant plastic ends out of my hand, and that plastic end go careening toward your dog. I have seen dogs develop serious fearful issues over the years because that's happened to them just once. It's like some big plastic thing is chasing them, and they will associate it with whatever experience is happening, or they'll associate it with a noise. Just so many things I've seen pop up. So if you use flexi leashes, you keep a tight grip on it, and you keep the throwing at a short distance so you won't reach past that 10 or only 15, 16 feet that those things give you. It's so important. Also, you don't have to go to a park to practice this. Just practice in the house, or even if it's a small apartment, it doesn't matter. Practice in the backyard. You don't have to go to an open park like this. Starting off. And if you have any questions, you can email me at info@doggersizela.com. Check out our website, doggersizedogtraining.com, and don't forget to subscribe.